Hi, this is Shadi, and today we will be looking at and discussing new Kodokan Judo techniques. This is something that's very important when it comes to understanding the terminology and the meaning of the techniques and the principles. But before we do that, I just want to say to my patrons, first of all, thank you so much for supporting my work. I have uploaded a video just today on Patreon, so please go and check it out. It's a bit lengthy, and I sent you all a personal message as a notification, so please feel free to check it out whenever you want. So today before we do that, today we're gonna discuss the concept of principles. Principles are very important. It's the stuff that Kano Sensei has laid out for us, the concept of guruma, gari, harai, etc., inner, outside, uchi, soto, ko and o, like minor and major, etc. Today we're gonna be using these principles that Kano Sensei has defined in order to name these techniques. So I always use this Kodokan footage with the blue background, and at the end of that video the lady says that a lot of techniques will emerge and will be invented, but they will fall in the category of the names of these 67 throws, because they will most likely follow the principles of one of these 67 throws. So today we're going to be looking at them, and without any surprise, they follow the principles of these 67 throws. And this is why, like I said, terminology is important, and learning some of Japanese culture is important, and also the principles of judo, guruma, like the wheel, harai, the sweep, gari, the reaping, and also gake, and the shoulder, meaning kata, or hiza, like the knee, ashi, the leg. All of that will play a role in order to understand what kind of throw. Now, without any further ado, the first one is gonna be none other than the Big Jim. The Big Jim is an American combination invented by Jimmy Pedro and, of course, Kayla Harrison, two-time Olympic champion. It has a very interesting story. So Kayla Harrison was incredibly skilled with Sode Tsurikomigoshi, and so their opponent anticipated it, and thus she finished with an entry into Osotogari from Sode Tsurikomigoshi, because you see it's a major outer reap. Doesn't matter how you hold, what matters is the action you are doing, which is a major outer reap. So hence it's a Osotogari. So it falls in the principles of reaping and outside and major reaping. So this is what I mean by terminology is important. So this is very similar to someone that has a brilliant seioi nage, and people will start to anticipate it at some point, and thus they finish with like either ko uchi makikomi, or maybe sode, or any other entry that is provided with seioi nage. And this is the same. Sode tsurikomigoshi, people started to anticipate it. Here you see like they frame and they hunch, etc., and thus Kayla continues the spin and finishes with Osotogari. Here we see a very similar one with the grips on the belt and back on outside. Like I said, nothing new under the sun. Understanding the principles is incredibly important, and here we see it once again. So the Big Jim is none other than a variation of Osotogari. So the next one is the famous, still practiced till this day, is the Hausenga roll, which is kind of like an omoplata. It's a roll from the turtle position. If it's one thing judokas really know how to do, is attack the turtle position. Thank God there are so many tactics around it, because it is such a dangerous position to put yourself in. But nonetheless, this is how you see he is spinning with the knee. this, in my opinion, falls in the Hizagatame category or principle. First of all, Hizagatame pinning with the knee. The classical omoplata in judo is considered Hizagatame or Ude Hishigi Hizagatame. Here Mark Hausinga is explaining it's an entry from Sankaku Gatame, but he continues the roll and hooking the leg. You see the bottom of the knee is controlling the elbow and also with the lever, so it is without a doubt a Hizagatamigayashi. When you roll someone or when you turn them over, it's a gayashi, kind of like the lasso sweep from Kodokan Judo. They called it Hizagatamigayashi. This is another variation of Hizagatamigayashi, in my opinion, finished with Hizagatame as a pin. You can finish it with by extending your hips and getting back up, which will lock the shoulder and cause the tap. It's the favorite role for #1 ranked Canadian Jessica Klimke. She just talked about this. Still being done till this day. It's a brilliant one and a great attack for the turtle position. It falls, like I said, in the Hizagatame principle, pinning with the knee basically. So here you see it being done. You hook the leg actually, and then you start to swing your leg in order to get the reversal. So here you see, let's take a look at the classical Hizagatame. Here you see you get the tap, the knee pressing down, Ude Hishigi Hizagatame, which means arm crush, knee hold. So if you are pinning, it's just Hizagatame. If you are submitting them, it's Ude Hishigi Hizagatame. Here you see the omoplata, but Mark Hausinga is like a reverse omoplata. You can say also Ushiro Hizagatame because from the back. So you can play all sorts of stuff with the naming, but it still falls under the principle of Hizagatame. Now we call it Hausinga roll. So here you see but still using it, very active in Waza. I spoke about her very recently. So here you see setting up from Sankaku, figure fouring her legs, and then going down and twisting and getting into the Hizagatame or Ushiro Hizagatame and getting the tap. So it's a Ude Hishigi because she technically locked the arm. So let's see it one more time. And the next one is the Hausinga Kataguruma. Hausinga is on a roll tonight, pun intended. So first of all, I just want to say thank you, Fighting Films, for all these footage. They never claimed my videos once. So here you see it's a devastating Kataguruma. It's like you enter very same thing with the sleeve, but you actually wrap your hand outside of the leg. You never go down or you try to lift them with your shoulder. It's kind of like lifting them on the back and then getting them close to the shoulder and then throwing to the front. It's a devastating Kataguruma. It's still considered Kataguruma because of the fact that you are using your shoulder as an axis, hence the name Kataguruma or shoulder wheel. So in the old days of jiu-jitsu, people would just lift very traditionally with Kataguruma, like the normal way we do it, and then throw to the front, very similar to, but the entry here is what differs. You have the grabbing the leg from the outside and then lifting not so much like really high and on the shoulders, half to the shoulders and half on the back. And then here with the front flip, it just demonstrates so much power, so much control. It's such a devastating throw. Please do not attempt of doing this anywhere outside the dojo, because clearly there will be legal ramifications. So this is my favorite from all the new ones that have been invented in the last 20 to 30 years. So the Hausinga Kataguruma is just amazing. It's a very quick entry and you can really catch someone by surprise. So speaking of Kataguruma, the next one is the new quote-unquote legal Kataguruma. I like this one, I really do. It really catches someone by surprise, and it's unlike the old one, from you see like the old footage, there is no like strength, control, and just monumental throwing. Yes, it is beautiful to see this monumental throwing and force and dominance, but here, this one, it is far more about timing, movement, being swift. It really represents, in my opinion, a more Japanese, like judo ippon like type of throws. For example, if you are not very strong, this one will do a lot for you. For example, nowadays the 73 category, Fabio Basile transitioned. He seems to be a bit physically weaker than, say, people like Shohei Ono, who is a mountain, Orzhov or Gyakova, many others, and yet he can still catch that Kataguruma using timing and movement very similar to his Deashi Harai. So it kind of took on a new turn, in a sense, with these new legal or new rules, so to speak. I myself like it. I've scored with it multiple times. It is aesthetic. It is very beautiful to look at. Yes, it's not that big, monumental, controlling Kataguruma, of course, but self-defense wise speaking, if you are very skilled at it, you can do it. You can take someone down. Yes, it's gonna hurt, but it's not gonna like severely cripple them, and you can transition from it to like Ushiro Hizagatami, Kamishio Gatame, or north-south, and then to Yokoshio, or side control, and proceeding to negotiate and control someone. I really like it. It has its place. Even if the old one came back, I still find the new Kataguruma will have its place, because some people say that in the old days a lot of people did this and called it Yoko Otoshi, but it is still, in my opinion, falls under the principle of Kataguruma, shoulder wheel, rolling someone on the axis of the shoulder. So when you say legal and illegal, it also translates to the streets, because that will, in my opinion, be somewhat legal, because it cannot just cripple them. So I like it. I'm a fan of it. And the old one too, of course. And last one, the big one, the Reverse Serenade, also known as Korean Serenade. Choi Min-ho invented arguably one of the most devastating throws in the last 20 years. In Athens and Beijing, he absolutely was a monster using this Serenade. So if you want to go a little bit Japanese in your terminology, you can say Gyaku Serenade or Reverse Serenade. In the West, we like to give things names according to their country or the name of the person that made it famous, hence the name housing a role. But here you can say Gyaku Serenade. The fact that you can grab so little fabric of the gi and create this torsion with it that will make uke coil up all this way and flip around in a very picturesque, like big manner and fall into the ippon is absolutely genius. I'm not a fan of Serenade, but yet I have to give this Reverse Serenade all my respect, because it is just absolutely devastating. Choi Min-ho, like I said, an absolute genius for coming up with this one. Cash Batar spent a big time trying to counter it. So these are mainly it. Very important to understand the terminology, the principles of judo, in order to really coil the name of something and really identify it for what it is. So if you have anything else to add, let me know down below. Also, please consider supporting me on Patreon. I have exclusive content for the patrons only. Also, do not forget to look at Josh Simon's BJJ shop for historical t-shirts and also historical articles for you to read. Like I said, if you have anything else to add, let me know down below. And also, thank you Fighting Films for these wonderful footage. Never once have they claimed my videos, so I am very thankful that they let me use them for commentary and to, do my presentations all the time. So thank you Fighting Films. I will leave a link in the description if you are interested in a subscription. I find it very affordable myself compared to other courses or instructional. So feel free to check out the description and below. So if you have anything else to add, this was Shadi, and thank you for listening.